All right, it's time for reading. Today is our last lesson of nonfiction for right now. We visited nonfiction earlier in the year. We did a little work with nonfiction over the last couple weeks, and we're going to get ready to move on to a new unit, one of my favorite units, and I think you guys are really going to love it too. So for today's nonfiction reading strategy, you're going to need a nonfiction book. The best place to find one is Get Epic or Raz Kids, unless you have a collection of nonfiction books at your bookshelf at home. And today's strategy is important versus interesting, right? So when we read nonfiction books, we have to figure out or determine what's important and what's just interesting. So I like to think about it as important facts and cool facts, right? So I want you guys to look at it like this, right? Let's start off by thinking about this. I want you to think about someone who has a purse or a pocketbook or a book bag. And I want you to think about all the things that that person has in that pocketbook or that book bag, right? So we're going to take a look at some things that might be in my purse, right? So we are going to look at these items and we're going to decide what is very important, what is kind of important, and what's not important. And we can do this as readers as well with the facts that we read in nonfiction books. So in my purse are my wallet, brush, mint, sunglasses, marker, paperclip, Kleenex, tissues, lotion, lip gloss, keys, phone, hand sanitizer, Advil, gum, a nail file, and a hair tie, right? And with all of those items, I'm going to put them into three groups: very important, kind of important, and not important. So the very important things that I cannot leave my house without: my wallet, my keys, and my phone. Those are the most important things I need to take with me. Then there's my kind of important, where I could leave the house without them, but it is important that I try to take them with me. It's a brush, Advil, sunglasses, Kleenex, chapstick, hand sanitizer, and hair tie. And especially hand sanitizer right now. That might even go over in our very important box. Then we have not important, right? My marker, lotion, paperclip, gum, mint, and nail file. Those are the things that I don't need, right? I don't need those things. That sometimes it might come up that I need to file my nail or my hands might be a little bit dry, but it's not going to be very often. So just like the items in my purse, they are like the facts in the books that we read. Some of the facts we read are very important for us to understand what's going on. Some of the facts are kind of important, and then there's ones that are not important at all. But we're going to separate them into two groups: important and interesting, important and cool facts. Right? So facts can be important or interesting. When they're important, they're useful, they are identifying, and they are big ideas. When they're interesting, they're unique. Sometimes it's trivia, like, did you know? They're wow facts. They get a reaction out of us, right? We talked about wow facts when we were doing nonfiction in school. It's when I read something, I go, wow, I didn't know that, right? It's causing a reaction. Most of the time, those are just cool facts or interesting facts. They're not the ones that we need to understand the big idea. So I have some examples here. If we were reading a book about Abraham Lincoln, over on the left, some of the important facts would be that he was the president during the Civil War, he was assassinated, and he was the 16th president. Some of the interesting facts about him was that he lived in a log cabin, he had 4 sons, and he used to keep his papers in his hat. I don't need to know that he lived in a log cabin, had 4 sons, or kept papers in his hat to understand why he is such an important person in history. But those are interesting facts. They're fun facts to know. So I have some pages from a book about baby elephants that we're going to take a look at. I'm going to read through each page, and then I'm going to think about what facts did I read were important for me to understand elephants and which ones were just cool facts or interesting facts. So this one is called Trunks, Ears, and Feet. An elephant's trunk is its nose and upper lip. Elephants use their trunks to breathe, smell, and lift objects. They are even able to grasp small objects with fingers or tips of their trunks. Elephants can use their trunks to suck up water and spray it into their mouths or over their bodies. African elephants have 2 trunk tips. Asian elephants have 1 tip on their trunk. Elephants can even draw and paint with their trunks. Wow. Okay, so Notice how when I read that last line, I even said, wow. Right? So that would tell me right away that that's a wow fact. It's interesting, it's cool, but I don't need to know that to understand elephants. I don't need to know that they can draw and paint to get the big idea about their trunks, ears, and feet. What I do need to know is that they use their trunks to breathe, smell, and lift objects. And I also need to know that their trunks have like fingers on the end of them. Okay. Those are important facts. Another cool fact is, or interesting fact, is that African elephants have two trunk tips and Asian elephants have one, right? That's something that I don't necessarily need to know, but it's an interesting fact. Over here on the right, ears like fans. An elephant cannot sweat, but it can get rid of heat in its body through its ears. An elephant's ears have many veins. Veins carry blood. When an elephant flaps its ears, it is cooling off its blood. The veins let off heat. An elephant's big ears help the elephant stay cool. Okay, so I think the important thing from here is that last sentence. An elephant's big ears help keep the elephant cool. Now, all the other information in here is going to help me understand that. Right? The veins going through their ears, they carry the blood. And then when they flap their ears, it's cooling off the blood. Elephants cannot sweat. I think that's a pretty cool fact. It's an interesting fact. I don't know if I need to know that to understand elephants' ears. I think I just need to know that they use them to cool off. And when they flap them, the blood in their ears, okay, cools off from them flapping. And this last part down here, tiptoe through mud. Elephants walk on their toes. They also have grooves on the bottom of their feet that grip the ground. The foot of an elephant becomes smaller when it's lifted to make it easier to pull out of mud. Cool, right? So if I'm trying to understand parts of an elephant and I'm trying to understand its feet, right? I think it's important for me to know that they have grooves on the bottom of their feet that grip the ground, right? I don't know if I need to know that their foot gets smaller to help it lift it out of mud. I think that's a cool fact. I think it's an interesting fact, but I don't know if it's an important fact, right? So as we read, there are so many different facts and so much information that we can't remember it all. So, as a nonfiction reader, we need to think about what is the important things? What are the things that I want to hold on to and put into my schema? And what are the things that are just cool that maybe I'll remember, but it's not important for me to have to remember those facts? Right? And then we have these pages here. So on these pages, I want for you to think about, as I read it, I want for you to think about, just like we were in class together, I want you to think about what is important and what is interesting. I'm going to read it. I'm going to ask for you to stop and think, maybe even pause the video for a minute. You can stop and jot it down. You can share it with somebody. You can turn and talk. Right? What is interesting on these two pages and what is important? The topic is food and water. So we're trying to understand food and water for elephants. Adult elephants eat up to 20 hours a day. Exclamation point. Right? That is something I should be reading with a lot of expression. Adult elephants eat up to 20 hours a day. They are herbivores. Herbivores eat mainly plants. Elephants eat leaves, grasses, roots, tree bark, and fruits such as dates and plums. A baby elephant drinks only its mother's milk for the first 4 months. Then it starts eating plants too. These elephant calves are feeding on grasses and branches. They drink their mother's milk too. All right, so let's stop, maybe even pause the video right now, and think about what in that page was important and what was interesting. Okay. So I think, and if I was with you, I would be able to hear your thinking too. So maybe we have the same thinking. I think that it's important that we know elephants are herbivores and eat mainly plants. I think it's important that we know baby elephants drink only its mother's milk for the first 4 months. Do we need to know that elephants eat up to 20 hours a day? No, but that's a really cool fact. So we have our interesting facts and we have our important facts. Next page over here, let's see what kind of facts we have going on here. And I want you to think about what facts are interesting and which ones are important for us understanding elephants and how they eat and drink. Elephants drink a lot of water, but they can go up to 3 days without it. They suck up the water with their trunks and squirt it down their throats. Elephants love water. They drink it, bathe in it, and spray themselves to keep cool. Then they roll in the mud to protect themselves from insect bites. The mud also keeps them cool. All right, so which facts there were our important facts about water and elephants, and which one were our interesting facts? Pause the video if you need a minute to think. All right, so maybe your thinking is the same as mine. I think it's important that we know elephants drink a lot of water and then they can squirt it down their throats from their trunk. I think it's also important that we know that they use mud to keep them cool and protect them from insect bites. The cool facts would be that they can go up to 3 days without water. And other cool facts would be that they love water and what they do with the water. Right? So what I'm going to ask for you guys to do is, if you take a look, I have this sheet here. Right? I'm going to send this sheet as a link in an email in case anybody has a printer and wants to print it. I'm also going to, I'm going to put the link in the webpage. So you can click right on it and print it from there. And then I'll also make a Google Slides link as well, so that you could put the answers into the Google Slides if you don't have a printer. And you can see here we have our two sides: important, stop, this is important, versus interesting, cool, but I can let go of it. So I'm gonna exit out of presentation mode and I'm gonna come to here so that I can add. All right, so something important that we read. All right, something important that we read is we read about their trunks, we read about their feet, we read about food, we read about water. And as a good reader, I can always go back to my text if I need some help of figuring out what it is that I want to jot down. You know, I can't always remember everything, so a good reader can look back in the text. All right, so I am going to put down for one of my interesting facts is that elephant trunks have fingers. Oh my goodness. At the end. Okay. A cool fact would be that some elephants can use their trunks to paint or draw. Okay. Another important fact, I would say something else that we read that was important about them is that elephants use their ears to cool off. Okay. And then an interesting fact, I'm going to say that from that page, an interesting fact is that elephants' feet get smaller to help them lift out of the mud. Okay, and then if I had some more things, I could jot them down in these extra boxes here. I'll set all those boxes up for you in the Google Slides. And just remember that whenever we're reading nonfiction, there is so much information in that book that we can't remember it all. So we have to make a decision. We have to determine what is important and what is interesting. And by doing that, we can hold on to all the important facts and not be overloaded with every single thing that the book is trying to tell us. All right, so you can go ahead and get a nonfiction book for yourself. Get Epic, Reading A to Z, or one of your own. I will leave a link for you to print this if you would like, or I will also leave a link to Google Slides and you can put your information into the slide. Happy reading.